The way you were raised and your relationship with Christ will heavily influence the actions you take when it comes to using weapons.
According to CNN, seconds before Charlie Kirk was shot, he was heard on video answering a question about transgender mass shootings in America. An audience member asked, quote, "Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?" End quote. Kirk said, "Too many." Imagine the audience member was involved. Oh no. The same audience member went on to say the number is 5 and proceeded to ask if Kirk knows how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years. Kirk said, "Counting or not counting gang violence?" Seconds later, a sound of a pop is heard and the crowd screams.
This episode in particular was not planned at all. Like, we woke up this morning having our coffee, normal morning, and unfortunately we received some terrible breaking news. Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah as he was having one of his traditional debates in a college campus.
I think it's sad. It scares me a little because then what, are we all going to attack each other because we have different opinions now in campus?
Yeah, like my initial thoughts at first was this is kind of like an attack on freedom of speech. In this country, you should be able to say whatever you want to a certain degree, right? But for people to go around killing just because you have a difference in opinion, I think that is just awful. But before we get into our thoughts and opinions on the whole situation, Jocelyn, what are the facts? What happened?
Charlie Kirk was starting a tour, and the first stop was here at the University of Utah. Unfortunately, a lot of people were signing a petition for him to not appear. The university issued a statement last week citing First Amendment rights and affirming its, quote, commitment to free speech, intellectual inquiry, and constructive dialogue, end quote. This is what we know so far about the incident. The FBI has published a statement stating that the shooter has been arrested. Previously, they had arrested someone that they released because it wasn't the person they were looking for. So they're investigating the situation. They only have surveillance footage from a nearby camera, so it's not going to be great quality. But there are multiple angles of the shooting from people who were present at the rally. Something to note that before he was shot, it happened around 12:22 when they started getting phone calls about him being shot in the neck. Sadly, there's also reports that his family was there, so it's definitely a tragedy to be witnessing, your husband, or if his kids are present, their father pass away.
Just imagine you're like 6 or 7, even younger. I don't know how old these children are, like his kids, and they just hear a gunshot. They don't know what's going on. So imagine the impact these children are gonna have to face once the mom talks to them and has a conversation with them. That's just gonna be sad.
That's awful. Like, your family was there present and they witnessed their dad, their husband get shot.
Well, that's what people are saying. I haven't seen anything official yet. During this rally, 6 officers were on campus and there were around 3,000 people.
That's ridiculous. But I don't think there's need for why should there be a need for security is my thing. Like, I know he's a public figure and all, but is it really necessary? Well, clearly there is, right? Like, but why is it that someone would have such ill intent towards him?
I think if you're a public figure, and especially if you have polarizing views, you should always have security.
And like I said, if you don't like the person or anything, this is why there's a block button on social media, and you have the privilege, like you have a choice. You have the privilege to have a choice to not go to these events if you dislike the person. You don't have to go.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely devastated to hear that this guy was murdered in front of so many people. And quite honestly, like, I think what he has built is something that's extremely respectable. Played a huge role in building a platform that has literally just shaken up the political world and potentially even influenced people to vote for Donald Trump. And he was only 31 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 30. I'm about to be 31, and I have yet to come close to being able to achieve anything close to what he has. And the average person that's my age, and I know this because, neighbors, friends, people that I'm exposed to, like most of us ain't doing shit.
Yeah, he had so much knowledge, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and that in itself, like he wasn't educated in terms of like he didn't go to school, he doesn't have a degree, but he still seeked knowledge, and he had like this burning passion towards having a specific goal. And to me, like, I just respect that tremendously, and seeing that his career was brought to a short end is truly devastating. I think he definitely did not deserve this, and I'm truly upset to hear this news.
I just think nobody deserves to die because they're expressing themselves. This is something that he was known for, public speaking. So when you start restricting this or causing fear, I feel like it becomes an issue. There's been a bunch of shootings happening lately, and it's a problem. I don't really have a solution to it. And I don't think anybody deserves to be dying because somebody, has the choice of like whether they like you or not, or whatever the issue was, and just a weapon or a person just taking your life away. I don't think that's fair. It also reminded me of the moment when we heard the news of Trump being shot in the ear. And when I went on social media, I saw a lot of people laughing at the situation or making jokes and commenting things. And to me, the comments that I've seen, I just don't like, whether you like the guy or not, whether you know him or not, whether you've been to a rally. I don't think anybody deserves that.
Yeah, it kind of bothers me that a lot of people paraded this situation.
Yeah, because it's like we're insensitive. Like,
I want to, like we posted a video on TikTok, and we have a small audience, and I just wanted to read some of the comments that.
To be honest, I don't think the people who commented were necessarily our audience.
Yeah, there's different.
Well, they're people that watch our videos. That's our audience.
So you're saying 3,000 people who don't follow us watch the video?
Well, if I'm not gonna say they're followers.
Yeah.
I didn't say followers. Their audience.
Honestly, it's very cruel what I see out there.
So it was just a short clip of Jocelyn saying, "Breaking news: Charlie Kirk has been shot." And then she asked, "Oh, what do you think about this, brother?" And I said, "This is bad news because this is gonna cause more division." So Eve was like, "More division? He was causing division." People were saying he passed away. Some 6'9" shadow demon, Libra 6'9", a bunch of laughing emojis. Willis was like, "It's a beautiful day. Matter of fact, it's an amazing day." Yeah, a meme saying, "Do I look like I give a?" I'm not sure where the heck like people find the heart to be able to say things like that or parade on this man's death.
Why do you think is gonna cause a division? So I wanted you to explain that.
Well, because now debate, like one thing that guy did was he opened the table for the other side to come speak about their beliefs. And his whole campaign was, it's important to be able to have a conversation about politics so that we can come up with the best possible solution to whatever outcomes we want to achieve. When you are able to build a platform where you discuss politics or a specific aisle and you get killed for having an opinion, that encourages people to not do it. I mean, look here in California, anybody who is a conservative is hiding. Especially when Trump was running for president. Like, it's not a good thing. It creates more of a division because now this kind of upsets conservatives. And then now conservatives are seeing how a lot of liberals are over here parading this. And mind you, I don't think it's all of them. It's just like a finite. Who knows? I still have seen too many comments about this.
Yeah.
But
like, it's sad.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. Like, regardless of whether or not you agree with this guy.
Yeah.
And so that encourages a separation between people. Oh, and another thing, I think there was only 2 states that voted completely towards one side. So I think in Massachusetts, the majority of people there voted for a Democrat. And I think it was Oklahoma, the majority of them voted for the conservative side. And every other state, like there was more of a division. Even though Donald Trump won, it was very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
So things like this cause more of a division in our country.
Sometimes what I had to learn the hard way is that bad things can happen to good people. Today, shortly after he was shot, 2 students were injured in Evergreen High School, a shooting that happened. Suspect was also hospitalized, and 3 teens were in critical condition.
Another shooting.
Do you guys think the government is trying to hide something and, doing something?
Yeah, I don't like to
Because that's
think
a lot of
that.
shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shootings. I don't like to think things like that, but
The other
it's hard
shooting
not to.
that made headlines
Yeah,
was
'cause,
in
like-
August 2025 in Minneapolis. Unfortunately, in a Catholic school, Robin Westman, a 23-year-old transgender woman formerly known as Robert Westman, opened fired during a back-to-back mass on August 27, 2025. She was a former student and her mother had worked at the school. The attack unfortunately killed 2 children aged 8 and 10. 17 other people, 14 children and 3 adults were wounded. The shooter committed suicide. But Lilo said if these shootings, is there potentially something going on in the world that these are being used as a distraction, or maybe they're planned. Hopefully they're not. I don't know. For Charlie Kirk's case, his shooting is still being investigated, and officials did report that they think it was on purpose, obviously, so that there was a motive. And I'm assuming that by the end of this week, we're going to know more about it. Currently, key events that are happening is a potential U.S. war on drug cartels led by the Trump administration. The U.S. has strike against an alleged drug boat tied to the Cartel Tren de Aragua. U.S. President said 11 people were killed.
Israel attacking Qatar is more of a reason for the U.S. to create some kind of dilemma here nationally to hide the fact that Israel stepped out of line again.
Mm.
I don't want to think this way, but that could have been a political move for sure to distract what is happening in the Middle East.
According to Reuters, Israel attempted to kill the political leaders of Hamas with the attack in Qatar capital on Tuesday, escalating its military action in what the U.S. described as unilateral attack that does not advance American and Israeli interests. The airstrike took place shortly after Hamas claimed responsibility for a shooting on Monday that killed 6 people at a bus stop out on the outskirts of Jerusalem. So in Jerusalem on Monday, there was also a shooting. The Wall Street Journal reported U.S. President Trump had a heated call with Israeli Prime Minister on Tuesday, telling him his decision to target Hamas inside Qatar was not wise.
To me, that is a very, if you want to say it's a conspiracy, it would make, that's the only thing that makes sense to explain what happened to Charlie. And also, next week, the Fed is scheduled to drop rates. I could be wrong, but I think it might be monetary. So something related to money.
So, breaking news, the FBI is still searching for the shooter. Apparently, the one that they captured is not the one that did it.
I find it hard to believe that they won't find it. Won't find the shooter. Like, it's gonna eventually happen. But
It's
to me,
'cause
like,
everybody scattered
damage
like
has already
ants.
been done.
A lot of the criticism or that has been introduced on social media or debate has been that in 2023, Kirk said that guns' deaths are unfortunately worth it for the preservation of the Second Amendment rights in the United States of America. he had said that after a mass shooting that killed 6 people, including children, at a Christian convent school in Nashville, Tennessee. How do you all feel about that statement that he said in 2023?
Well, I feel like they're taking his words out of context.
I was going to ask, like, what was the full conversation about it?
So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to 0. It will not happen.
Right.
You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home,
Yes.
by having more armed guards in front of schools. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe.
How do I feel about that? Well, I thought it was a very bold statement. Because especially if it was made after a shooting that lost people. I feel like it's kind of like something that kind of came to my mind is like, sometimes you don't know what you say until it happens to you or your families or your close relatives.
I think he would still say it. Like, let's say if he
Well, that's what I meant. Like, if you die with
I
your
wish he would have survived so that he himself could
Say something.
defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I can almost guarantee that he will still double down on this belief, because he basically said it how it is. You can never create a society. You cannot have a society where people will not die by guns. So to a certain degree, it was taken out of context.
I don't think it was taken out of context because he knew what was going on politically or like the situation at the time. So he said it, and that's what
he had a harsh opinion.
Yeah, he had
it.
a really harsh, but it makes sense
to
with what his beliefs.
saying that it's worth it.
It's kind of like some people.
I think it was unnecessary for him to say that. I don't think his death is something that should be circled around that one clip. I don't think.
No, I think the reason that clip is being brought back is because there's obviously people that don't like him, and they're against everything he would say, and so they're just bringing. It's just a statement that's going viral again because
it makes sense
of the situation that happened. So it's just a discussion. No, it doesn't like it. That should not be a representation of his work and his legacy. I think that whether you agree with him or not, he said a bunch of other points that might have been more important to actually learn from. And his stance on just guns and that kind of violence is his opinion, and you could agree with him or not.
There's no dean. No. He's a liberal, and he debates, and Charlie and Dean were, well, Dean considered him a rival. I don't know how, but they didn't like each other because I think they debated before, but he actually made out a statement saying that Dean, he has a big platform, he has millions of followers, and I saw on TikTok that he posted a video saying how sad the situation is, that he himself didn't like him, and he thinks Charlie was a horrible person, but he didn't deserve this. Mm-hmm. And he actually started crying in front of like his audience.
Yeah, I think I saw, and he said that his family was present.
Yeah,
right?
and I heard him say that his family was present. Someone who is also has a big platform and is very polarizing as well on the conservative side is Ben Shapiro, right? And I remember seeing interviews where he would receive death threats. So imagine like Charlie, like I'm sure he also had those things. Mm-hmm. And for him to still be going out there is insane. And there was only 6 police officers.
I'm surprised he didn't have protection because
he had his security.
Yeah,
he didn't have more protection.
Right.
I'm
if
surprised
if
because
a full blown riot breaks out, I think they wouldn't be able to control it. But
Because how many followers does he have? And I
Yeah.
feel like by this point he should have. I think when he first started and stuff, maybe it wasn't necessary, but I think it does, because even as small as someone like, did you ever hear the tragic story of Christina Grimmie? She was a singer,
yeah,
and she obviously did like the voice competition and other things, and she was trying
that
to
was
rise to fame.
weird situation.
She was on stage and her brother was there too, and all of a sudden like a fan or somebody who was also, something was wrong with him, came up and shot her, and the brother tried to the reason he didn't shoot more was because the brother came and like, you know, knocked him down and stuff. But I think he ended up dying to the shooter, and so her life was taken. And you know, concerts, they usually have security, so I don't know what happened in that case. But like even someone as her, who was not a polarizing individual and was just touring and she was loving and stuff, was impacted by a shooter or someone who murdered her. So I think when you are a public persona, it is important to have protection, especially if you've reached the status of like what you can say of influencing certain populations, certain groups. And so I'm not saying that if he had more security, I don't know if this could have been prevented, because obviously
No, like,
but
it's the fashion in which he does things opens himself to this type of attacks. The way it happened, he's the only person that got shot. So this is like specifically for him. It wasn't even like a mass shooting. Like, it was just tailored for him. Or like if in the future they would come out after investigation that like Charlie was doing some evil things and then it caught up to him, that would make me feel in a way better than for him going out there chasing his passion and then just getting shot for doing what he believes in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to get symbolic, but where was he shot?
In the neck.
And where, I guess it's maybe not symbolic, but that prevents you from talking.
You know,
It's
if
like
you
blocking your
survive.
speech.
Hearing about this kind of like ruined my day.
Yeah, nobody should be shot for being able to speak on what you believe in or in anything.
Our condolences to his family and anybody around him, especially his wife and children.
Hope they find the strength to pull through. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and yeah. See you guys on the next one.